Raising Janico.
Hi, my name is Natalia. In today's video, we will be talking about nature and kids and why it is very beneficial for our kids to spend time outdoors. Well, I like to make my videos outside too to kind of prove the point, but it is raining today and it is very hard to make a video on this kind of weather condition. So I brought some nature inside. And also I would like to assure you that when my kids come home from preschool and school, they will put appropriate gear and will go outside to play. As we get closer to summer, we naturally tend to spend more time outdoors, and there are wonderful reasons to do so that we'll be talking about it today. However, there is a dangerous trend affecting our kids that needs parents' attention, and therefore I would like to talk about it today. It is called nature deficit disorder. This term was coined by Richard Louv in his influential book, The Last Child in the Woods, in 2008. This disorder is a result of disconnect between children and nature that Louv believes causes a variety of symptoms, including obesity, attention deficit disorder, and depression. A lack of exercise and outdoor play might lead to myopia and obesity. Not getting enough vitamin D from the sun might lead to depression, and a lack of time to decompress and think more slowly might lead to development of attention deficit disorder. Nature lacks the stimuli of electronic entertainment. An average commercial changes its images more than 2 times in each second and always inundates viewers with multiple stimuli, such as visual, music, voices, etc. While in nature, things slow down considerably, forcing the mind to decompress and think more slowly. And I think it's extremely important to have this experience in our busy lives today. Another dangerous outcome is that nature deficit disorder might cause children to think of nature as something abstract instead of real. I wholeheartedly share that concern and therefore focus on empowering love and care for nature in my project. It seems that some cultures treat nature as a resource we pull from and something not present or real in our daily lives. And I think it has extremely dangerous and destructive consequences that were outlined by the recent UN report on biodiversity. It stated that about 1 million animal and plant species are facing extinction in the next few decades because of destructive human behavior. Thankfully, some cultures do not share this attitude. Most indigenous cultures and also cultures in the Western world. Linda McGurk, in her fantastic book, There is No Such Thing as Bad Weather, shares that most Scandinavians see themselves as inseparable from nature. And she also cites a psychiatrist who says that actually most Swedes tend to value other living beings as highly as humans. I think it's the healthiest attitude towards nature, because in the end, if you harm nature, you harm yourself. This attitude can only be attained through the utmost respect for the natural world and also developing a strong personal relationship with nature that starts in childhood. Richard Louv in his book recommends a really cool idea of establishing a daily green hour for the families that will benefit the whole family and encourage more active lifestyle, creative play, and will lead to a reduction of stress. He also states that if parents see outdoor time and time in nature as a necessity rather than add on a luxury, they will make it a priority. So please make sure to add a green hour to your daily family schedule for the benefit of the whole family. Also, I would like to recommend a really helpful book by Richard Louv called Vitamin N that lists 500 ways to enrich health and happiness of your family and community through nature. Vitamin N means nature, vitamin nature. So please check it out. Nature's ability to heal and boost our well-being is recognized by many cultures. For example, the tradition of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, has been practiced in Japan for many years. And in the 80s, the government even established programs for its citizens to practice forest bathing with specially trained guides. Thankfully, this practice is catching on, and today you can find this kind of activity in your own area. And I would like to share with you my experience here in Colorado. I just did a walk with Jamie Kopke, who is a forest bathing guide here in Colorado. And I just experienced a group practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. And it's been a really relaxing, wonderful experience. So I would like to talk to Jamie about what it is and how can do this with kids. So Jamie, what is forest bathing, and what are the scientific benefits of doing it?
So forest bathing, actually Shinrin-yoku is a Japanese term, and it translates in English to forest bathing. And in the US, it might also be called forest or nature therapy. And it's really about slowing yourself down and opening up your senses to connect with nature in a new way. So when you're forest bathing, it's different than maybe a normal hike or walking on a naturalist hike where you're trying to name things. It's really more about going without an agenda and letting yourself open up to the environment around you.
Mm-hmm. So what do you see is happening with people while they're doing this practice, and what do scientists say about the benefits of this practice?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a saying that with the forest therapy that the forest is the therapist and the guide just opens the door. And I think that's really true. Everybody's going to come to an experience, a walk with their own interests, their own things that they might be thinking about. And so everybody's going to have a unique experience on the walks. And that's one of the things I really love about it, is that the medicine comes to you from the forest in whatever form you need on that particular day. And each walk might offer you something different. But the practice itself that originated in Japan, they've actually been studying for several decades. They have forest research centers set up around the country where they've taken people out and actually trying to quantitatively examine the health benefits of forest bathing and what slowing down and really tapping into nature can do for people. And there's many benefits, and there's a lot of great papers out there that share some of that, but just some examples are increasing people's variable heart rate, lowering cortisol levels in the body, which is our stress levels. People have been shown to have increased cognition and memory function, as well as boosts to creativity. And one of the things I think is most amazing is an increase in our T cells that are cancer-fighting cells. So there's studies that show that people are boosted for several weeks after going on a forest bathing walk.
Yeah, so it's really good for our immune system, isn't it? So I agree with that, and people on the walk felt really relaxed, and we talked about how you can be more focused after that, and how people's mood have increased, even though it's raining on us, but we're embracing it right now instead of running away. And also I think engage in all the senses gives you that state of mindfulness that we really crave in our lives, and that's a good reminder and practice to actually do it in nature. If we doing it with kids, today we had on the adults on our walk, but if you do it with kids, how would you do this practice? What can we take it from forest bathing to practice it with young children?
Yeah. Well, I have a 4-year-old, so I feel like I do this a lot. And I feel like children are natural forest bathers because they're very present and in the moment, and they're not thinking of the destination when they go on a walk. They're thinking of exploring and discovering and learning and touching, and that's really what it is. So I would suggest that maybe people start by talking with their kids about going through all the senses, and that's something we start with on our forest bathing walks, is kind of exploring all the senses and just offering an invitation to feel those things. So go through, like, what does it feel like to feel the wind on your skin with touch?
Rain.
Yeah, or the rain as we're experiencing now. What are the smells that you can smell? And think of, they're going to want to be more maybe playful and imaginative. So using those things about, imagine you're an animal, what can you smell in the air? And using that, kind of working with the imagination, I think really helps with children. And then when you're out there, there's a ton of different invitations. It's really just about being present and trying to slow down and not having that agenda. But one that might be fun would be like mirroring. And so the idea is, like we all learn as babies to mirror things that we see. And so go out and find something, another being in the forest, and just mirror it. So however they might want to take that. Maybe they're going to move like the grass, or they're going to see a bird flying, and just see what happens. Another one that might be fun would be something that we call perfume cup, and you can just take little cups, and especially like use the nature with you. Like a day where it's raining, this is actually a great time to do invitations around smell. A whole different set of smells will come up after a rain, and let people go out and the kids kind of fill the cup with whatever they want, and then they basically are creating their own perfume, and then we all come back together and share the perfume. They can name it whatever they want, and just really tapping into like in the moment play, and also just knowing that kids might want like a little bit of a faster turnaround with different activities, but just working with that and really enjoying it, and also allowing yourself to connect with them on that level too is really fun.
Yeah. I invite you to take a walk with a guide. You can find a guide at Association of Nature and Forest Bathing. All the links are down. Please look there. And then Jamie's website is jamiekopke.com if you're in Colorado. So please check those resources. Try a class for yourself. There are a couple of books I would like to recommend. One is called Forest Bathing, and another one is called Forest Bathing Retreat. They're beautiful books with a lot of scientific data and just beautiful quotes and pictures to inspire you to take practice, and just
great ideas for invitations.
Great ideas for invitations, as Jamie suggesting. So please try it out, see how it works for you. I feel really happy and relaxed. We had a little tea ceremony at the end, and it was lovely. So I invite you to try it for yourself. In her book, The Nature Fix, Florence Williams discusses a lot of research around the subject of nature as therapy and medicine. Aside of talking a lot about forest bathing, she also describes programs in Korea, Singapore, and Finland. But I would like to share a couple of takeaways from this book I took as a parent. The first one has to do with the fact that our senses have been quite impacted by our modern way of living. Before modern time, humans depended on their senses for survival. If they heard a sound of snake hissing, they knew the danger is around. If they saw a creek and a nice trees grove, they knew they could take a rest in there. And today we no longer need that. So we are losing our senses, or are not developing the senses to the fullest capacity. For example, Swedish researchers found that up to 50% of genes responsible for smell have been neutralized because we have not used that sense much. As we discussed in forest bathing, the photosynthesides that trees emit are extremely beneficial for our immune system. When it comes to hearing, the noise pollution is also very damaging for our health. Airplanes, leaf blowers, traffic really do dull our sense of hearing, and that noise can trigger anger and rob us of ability to pay attention. While the sounds of nature, the sound of wind, the trees blow in the wind, birds singing, water flowing, healing. When it comes to vision, the Chinese researchers found that up to 50% of city dwellers have a less visual acuity than people who live in the country. The outdoor light differs from indoor light, and outdoor light help the shape of our eyeball to develop. So for the development of visual acuity, it's extremely important to be outside. And just in general, the findings lead to the idea that human brains grow best when they spend time outdoors. The second idea that I absolutely loved and a takeaway from this book is treating nature as time in nature as an exercise. Any is good, more is better. And Florence suggests thinking about nature exposure in terms of our daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly exposure. She calls for all of us to think about time outdoors every day, just in the nature area, and also weekly maybe go to a wooden area where we could walk among the woods and experience foresty area. She suggests that monthly it's very beneficial to get away to a river, seashore, forest, and take yearly vacation to a very remote area where we can truly immerse ourselves in nature and feel the awe that nature freely provides. The last book I would like to share with you today is called Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom. She is a pediatric occupational therapist, so in her books she discusses the fine and gross motor development and sensory development in children. True to its title, she discusses the benefits of letting kids play outdoors without shoes. An even ground allows immediate response and adaptation and development of foot muscles and balance. Allowing children to crawl, climb, feel rocks, dirt, trees, plants, and water encourages sensory and muscle development. When it comes to dirt, there is a lot of research that says that dirt in natural environment is wonderful for us. In fact, it affects positively our microbiome and our gut bacteria, so it's really, really beneficial. On the other hand, too clean and sanitized environment lead to underdeveloped immune system and allergies in children. And also, when she discusses sensory development in kids, on top of the 5 senses of sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. She also talks about vestibular sense, which is awareness of where your body is in space. It's vital for developing good coordination and balance in gross motor movements such as walking, running, and climbing. Varied movements such as hanging upside down and spinning help develop the vestibular sense. The other sense is called proprioception, which comprises of sensory receptors in the joints, muscles, ligaments, and connective tissues that tell you where your body parts are without having to look at them. So I think these are really beneficial pieces of information for us as parents. Of course, Angela suggests a lot of outdoor play time for kids. Her recommendation for toddlers and preschoolers, about 5 to 8 hours of active play, preferably outdoors. And for children of school age up to 13 years of age, she recommends 4 to 5 hours of physical activity outdoors. I think these are great recommendations. So I hope you got some inspiration and good ideas about how to incorporate nature in your daily lives with your kids, from a daily green hour to treating nature, time in nature as exercise. Any is good and more is better, and planning your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly exposure in nature and time in nature, to sensory exercise through forest bathing therapy, to also letting kids run outside without shoes and spend as much time outdoors as possible. I would like to do a small PSA about sun safety because it's extremely important to protect your skin from sun exposure, and especially if you live in states like Colorado, California, or Florida, where there are many cases of melanoma per capita, more than other states. So I just wanted to share a few statistics with you from Save Your Skin Foundation and Melanoma Research Foundation, just to bring this issue to your attention. So adults skin cancer starts in childhood. Most people receive about 80% of their lifetime sun exposure before they are 18. One blistering sunburn can double a child's lifetime risk of developing skin cancer. Getting a painful sunburn just once every 2 years can triple your chance of melanoma skin cancer. So I think it's important to remind all the parents about using mineral-based sunscreen, and also UPF clothing and sun hats. My kids use sun hats from a company called Sunday Afternoons, which are great light and have a high protection rating. We do need vitamin D from sun, as I talked earlier about, but we only need very short exposure, about 10 to 15 minutes if you have lighter skin, and longer if you have darker skin, between hours of 11 and 4, when UVB rays are present and help our bodies produce vitamin D. So just being mindful of that time frame, I think, is very helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If so, please share this video with other parents, and join me on Instagram and Facebook under the name Raising Janico. And I wish you all to enjoy the time with kids and nature regardless of the season. See you soon.
Raising Janico.